Hello all you beautiful people, how you doing here today? This is Lava Temptress and welcome back to my channel. Or if you're new here, welcome, hi! So today we're going to be talking about some more AE2. Today we're going to go over some cables and some import, export, and storage buses. And the difference and what they do, because they're a little bit confusing sometimes. So here we have the Fluix ME glass cable like we were using previously, but then we can actually make a smart cable. Now the difference between each is you can see with the Fluix cable, you don't see how many channels it has. But with a smart cable, it'll show you how many channels you have available. So for instance, if I hook one up to this, and add on some more. Oops, it's not what I wanted, this part right here. So if I added on more, it says how many channels we have available. And when you connect these, like these aren't online, so that's why it's not working. But for instance, let's see, if I change these cables to smart cables, then it tells us how many connections we have. So like this has 3 out of 8. We connect that, and I destroyed my terminal. Okay, went and got my terminal back. But what you can see the difference between the Fluix cables and the smart cables will show you how many channels you have, which are going to be very important because at a certain point you're going to need quite a bit of them. Okay, so before we look at the crafting recipes, there is also the dense smart cable and the dense covered cable. Alright, but before we do that, let's take a look at the import bus, the export bus, and the storage bus, and what the difference is between them, because there is quite a bit of a difference. Okay, so on this one, and you can see it has the purple, which means it is powered and connected. And if you look at it and you have, like what I do, then it'll tell you whether it's online or not. So on this chest, I have a simple storage bus. So a storage bus simply shows you what's in that storage container. So you can use it with a lot of different mods. It comes in quite handy. But here's the thing. It's not actually in your system. It looks like it is, but it is, however, not. Now, how do we tell that? You can access stuff from here. So for instance, if we look in this chest here, there's 62 of the gold ingots. So it's not really in my system. So if I take those 62 out, there's no more gold ingots. But if we look in here, it's gone from here. So what it allows you to do for the storage bus, it allows you to store stuff in, for instance, like chest. And then if you have different storage mods that you're playing with, you can usually use them with with that one also. All right, so this one comes in handy, and we'll take a look at it again in a different tutorial when we talk about auto crafting. But this one, I have the export bus on it. So what does that mean? Well, here we have a furnace. I have some coal in here. But what if I wanted some coal to come in here? So you'd click on this export bus. It'll bring this up here. Now, these that we covered in the first tutorials, you can add acceleration and all kinds of stuff in here. But let's say we want it to pull in coal, okay? But the problem with the furnace is it's pulling the coal into the top. So it'll pull it into whatever you have it exporting to. So when it's export, think it's exporting to whatever your system is. So for instance here, this vibration chamber is powering our system, and I have coal in here. So what I could do instead is break that and put our cables here. Things are not wanting to work properly today. There we go. But before we put that one on, let's grab us the export bus. We're going to put that there. And then we're going to put our cable over here. All right. So then if we put, let's see how many it has in there. All right. So let's do, so it only has 31, right? So it's not coming in now, but if we tell it to export coal, it'll start bringing coal in if there's any in the system, which there might not be because it already took it out for there. Yeah, see, there's none in here. But if I put this coal in here now, and this comes in quite handy if you have multiple things running that need multiple things. So now this will stay full, which is great because then it'll keep our system powered. And of course you can have multiples of these, not just one. So you would connect it on all the sides of the energy cell if you wanted more power. Isn't that fantastic? That's awesome. I love it. All right, now this one is the import bus. So I have the pure crystals in here, the two different kinds. And as you can see, they're not actually in the system. But if we connect our cable here, devices online. So if we look in here, it's actually pulling them out. So when you have the import, think of it as you're taking whatever's there and you're importing it into your ME system. So that means instead of storing it on, for instance, in this chest, like the storage bus here does, what it does is it pulls it directly into the system. So now it's going to store it on one of our drives that we have in our ME drive setup. So that comes in quite a bit handy. Like, think about it. You can put an ender chest here. So if you're out and about, you can access your ender chest and put stuff in here and send it back. So if you're out exploring, you can send things back very easily. But, and of course, if you do modded, you can do different colored ender chest and all that kind of stuff, which a lot of people play with, myself included. But that makes it really, really handy to be able to dump stuff into your system while you're out, especially if you're out of range of your wireless terminal. So that comes in very handy. Please don't put that there. All right. So that is what each of these do. And so now if we actually look in here, they're fully in the system, but like I said, they're not in the chest anymore. So if you want something to stay in the inventory that you have it in, make sure you use the storage bus. You can also put priorities on these. So if you want it to go, like, for instance, with the coal, if you wanted something to go somewhere first, then you would put a priority on that. Now that comes in quite a bit handy if you have certain chests. You can also set up here which things you want to go in here and which things you don't. Okay. So now we need to look at the crafting recipes. We are going to look at later how to create unlimited channels and all that, but I didn't want to overwhelm people in one little tutorial because you don't necessarily need that. For instance, when you do these smart cables, instead of just the 8 that you get with the regular smart cable, you get 32 channels. So that's quite a bit, and a lot of people won't need more than that. But as you can see, we're using 5 of 8. And it changes as we go out because it's where you're going from the controller. Like so. And with the smart cables, you will see that line there, and that indicates how many that you're using also. Alright, but let's take a look at the crafting recipes. So for the covered cable, which is just the regular Fluix cable, but it covered. For that one, you're going to just combine the Fluix cable with a piece of wool. That's it. And you can do it different colors and everything if you want to make it fancy, but you don't have to. Now, to make the ME Smart cable, which is honestly what you really want, you want the covered cable with a piece of redstone and a piece of glowstone, and it's 1:1 for all that. So it is a little bit more expensive, but after you get going, it's really not that bad. Alright, then from there, we're going to need to make the dense covered cables. And for that, we're going to take 4 of the covered cables. Then to make... okay, apparently I took that out. To make the dense smart cable, which again will give you the 32 channels, you're going to take the dense covered cables, add a piece of redstone and a glowstone. And again, you can make those different colors also. Now to make the storage bus, you're going to make one of the ME interfaces. And if some of these recipes baffle you, we went over these in the previous AE2. So that's why I'm not going over them again. I don't want to be redundant. But the ME interface, the sticky piston, and a piston will make you one storage bus. Then to make the import bus, you're going to use an annihilation core, sticky piston, and 2 iron ingots. And then for the export bus, you're going to use 2 of the iron ingots, a piston, and a formation core. And that is it. These are simple, but they can be so very effective. There's multiple ways that I haven't even covered in here, but one of the most common is the ways that I've shown you here. So now for the export on this, if you're really going to do it into a furnace, let's see right here. If we do that and connect it there and tell it, let's grab out a piece of coal. I think it might already be doing it. We'll see. Is it already doing it? No. But see, if I take out from there because that's connected, I would have to tell it not to import stuff. But if I put a piece of coal here, then it's going to put it in the bottom where we want it. So make sure when you're doing a furnace, it's on the bottom. But the nice thing is, here on the top, you can also take like ores or anything you actually need cooked. So there's lots of ways you can automate this. And then you can even put this nice little import. You can put an import on it, the bottom, I believe it is, an import on the bottom, and then it'll pull whatever you have it crafting. It'll automatically pull it out, which allows for a lot of auto crafting. But again, we will get into all of that later, because auto crafting requires quite a bit of stuff. But this is just a short tutorial to show you the difference between the import bus, the export bus, the storage bus, and how to use the different kinds of cables. All right, that's going to be it for today. I know it's short and sweet. Let me know if you have any questions at all. And if you haven't already, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video if you enjoyed it, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of the future videos. I appreciate you guys being here as always. Until next time, this is Lava Temptress. Don't get burned. Bye!